It was a Tuesday, like any other Tuesday. Rain splattered on the windshield of Joey Grundle's beat-up Honda Civic. He navigated the familiar streets, another pizza delivery, another tip. He pulled up to 23 Maple Drive. A two-story house, neatly mowed lawn, seemed ordinary. Nothing about this delivery seemed different, until he saw her. The woman at the door startled Joey. Her eyes were red, swollen. A dark bruise marred her left cheek. She avoided his gaze, her hand trembling as she took the pizza. Something felt wrong. This wasn't just a late-night craving. This was fear. Joey paused, a knot forming in his stomach. "Thank you," she mumbled, her voice barely audible. It was a whisper that seemed to carry the weight of the world, a plea hidden beneath layers of fear and uncertainty. Her lips trembled as she spoke, the words almost lost in the air between them. Her hand shot out, not to take the pizza, but to clutch his arm. It was an instinctive move, driven by a need for connection, for reassurance. The urgency in her grip spoke volumes, a silent scream for help that words could not convey. Her grip was desperate, her touch ice cold. The chill of her fingers sent a shiver down his spine, a stark contrast to the warmth of the room. It was as if her very essence was crying out for rescue, her body betraying the terror she tried to hide. "Help me," she mouthed, her eyes wide with terror. The silent plea was more powerful than any scream, her eyes reflecting a depth of fear that shook him to his core. It was a moment of raw vulnerability, a cry for salvation that pierced through the silence. The words, though silent, echoed in the silence. Joey's instincts took over. The room seemed to hold its breath, the tension palpable. He could feel the weight of her fear pressing down on him, urging him to act, to do something, anything to alleviate her distress. He knew he had to act fast. There was no time to waste, no room for hesitation. His mind raced, searching for a solution, a way to help her. Determination set in, his resolve hardening as he prepared to take action. He couldn't let her down. He wouldn't let her suffer in silence. He pretended to fumble for change, buying precious seconds. His fingers trembled as he dug through his pockets, the clinking of coins barely masking his anxiety. Each second felt like an eternity, but he knew he had to stay calm. The woman's life depended on it. With his free hand, he subtly dialed 911. The phone felt heavy in his hand, a lifeline in the midst of chaos. He had to be discreet. Any sudden movement could alert the danger lurking nearby. His thumb hovered over the screen, finally pressing the numbers that could bring salvation. "Pizza delivery," he whispered into the phone. 23 Maple Drive. Woman in trouble. His voice was barely audible, a hushed plea for help. He hoped the dispatcher would understand the code, a desperate attempt to avoid suspicion. The seconds ticked by, each one a silent prayer. The dispatcher's voice crackled back, assuring him help was on the way. Relief washed over him, but he knew the danger was far from over. The dispatcher's calm, professional tone was a stark contrast to the turmoil in his mind. He clung to those words, a promise of rescue. Joey's heart pounded, his eyes glued to the woman. Her fear was palpable. He could see the terror in her eyes, a silent scream for help. Every muscle in his body was tense, ready to spring into action if needed. He had to stay vigilant. Every second counted. The sirens in the distance were a beacon of hope, but they needed to arrive in time. Minutes later, police sirens pierced the night, their wailing echoing through the quiet streets, signaling urgency and danger. Two officers, with determination etched on their faces, rushed towards the house, their hearts pounding as they prepared for the unknown. The woman's assailant, a burly man with a menacing presence, emerged from the shadows, his eyes darting around as he realized his time was up. He was swiftly apprehended, his rage dissolving into defeat as the cold metal of the handcuffs clicked around his wrists, signaling the end of his reign of terror. The woman, later identified as Sarah, had been held captive by her ex-boyfriend. She was visibly shaken, her eyes filled with tears of relief as the officers consoled her, assuring her that she was now safe. Joey, the unassuming pizza delivery guy, was hailed a hero. His quick thinking and bravery had saved Sarah from a terrifying ordeal. The police and neighbors congratulated him, their gratitude evident in their smiles and handshakes. He had been observant, noticing the subtle signs of distress when he delivered the pizza. He had acted decisively, calling the police without hesitation, knowing that every second counted. Joey's vigilance and courage turned an ordinary night into an extraordinary act of heroism.